DraftKings Daily Trot. I'm Jason Gilbo, Jake11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J. Clay. Taking a look at the DK slate here for the 7:05 and later games and breaking down hitters as far as where we like for offense. And hopefully, last night we were in love with the Cubbies, and you sent me a message late last night and you said Chase Anderson has a no-hitter going, and I was just like, oh my God. I woke up and saw that and was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, it was perfect for like 4 innings, and then he got a walk in the 5th. But that was interesting for sure.
Looking at catcher tonight, and I think if you're paying up at behind the dish, it's for Brian McCann.
Yeah.
In that ballpark, Chase Field enhances power from the left side, and you just look at Miller and the way he's pitched this season, it's been bad. And if you want to dig back to 2014, 323 Wobo out to lefties.
Yep. I really think it's the clear top option tonight. You don't really want to target Pomeranz, so that kind of takes Posey out in terms of the battle usually between those two. But I like McCann tonight a lot against Miller.
Yeah. And Yadier Molina, not a big lefty guy, but 3,400, kind of like these Cardinals bats against Russ, and I think they're kind of sneaky tonight, especially with Russ. And obviously he's a Coors pitcher, but 370 Wobo out to right-handers, a low strikeout rate. I think he's kind of sort of in play if you want to spin down a little bit.
Definitely.
And you looking at anyone else kind of down low? I think punt option-wise, Yan Gomes kind of looks pretty intriguing at 3,100.
Yeah, and I will say Castillo against Evaldi. I don't necessarily like that matchup. Grandal, I think, is okay. Obviously, he's just been all right, but 3,200 isn't too bad. Yeah, Gomes is a good call.
Yeah, I think he's about as low as I'm going. I can't see really anyone.
Cleveland has just been ripping up the Reds in those 6 o'clock games.
Yeah,
and really now glad they haven't been on the slates.
Now they're going to Cincinnati, so an even better ballpark for those bats.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm on all those guys. I think that's where you should be looking, especially kind of paying down tonight.
Right.
First base, and we were talking up Rizzo last night, and I'm going to talk him up again. I love these Cubs lefties against Jimmy Nelson. Nelson's allowed a 3.58 WOBA to lefties since 2014, a big 1.45 runs per 9. I know Ortiz is up there; he's been hitting well too, but I think for 400 less, I'm going to take Rizzo in a better ballpark.
Definitely. Yep. I'm going right back to the well with these Cubs on both slates. But the only real difference is you get a little bit of a reduced price for Rizzo today compared to yesterday. So, yeah, I'm back in on them again today.
Definitely. Talking about those Cleveland bats, if Mike Napoli's in the lineup there, these guys who's hit lefties well in the past and, 400 on base percentage over the last 10 games there. Not too bad. If you want to kind of be different or, he works himself into a Cleveland stack there.
Right. Jose Abreu, I think, is at a pretty decent spot again against Doug Fister. I'm definitely in on that again for 4,200. Probably I'm not necessarily stacking the White Sox, but I think he's an intriguing standalone.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. If you want to look lower in kind of a GPP format, Mark Teixeira is a guy who I might toss out there as far as a tournament play, 3,700, very cheap against Miller, could certainly pay off.
Now, I know you said you didn't like some of the warning signs with Liriano. Would you be taking punt plays with Braves, with some of the cheaper Braves? I don't think Freddie Freeman's in that punt play area, but I guess that's more of a... Are you totally avoiding Atlanta still? Or
yeah, I'm not on Atlanta. I don't think there's a ton of upside with them. I think it's more so his walk rate. He just kind of he doesn't allow a ton of runs. He can kind of control some damage, which doesn't give a ton of upside to really either side. So it's kind of just like a stay away situation.
Gotcha.
I'll definitely have some Liriano. I won't have Braves tonight.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because actually the Braves punt plays have been paying off recently, but yeah, I was just wondering what you were thinking on that. But yeah, obviously you're not playing Freddie Freeman tonight.
Yeah, I can't see that. Overall, I think first base is really a spot to pay up for. I just think Rizzo's kind of that top option. I don't mind. You had a great call with Abreu there. I think the White Sox bats are coming around, and I like him against Fister there. Second base, and this one, I mean, kind of a tough way to pay up. I mean, you could look at Zobrist at 4,800. I mean, he's just absolutely tearing the cover off the ball of late. Once again, he's going to have that lefty matchup with Nelson. I have a hard time paying up for Zobrist as a standalone guy. I think he's more just kind of he fits into that stack, if anything.
How about Daniel Murphy against Bartolo?
Oh, I like Murphy.
Yeah, I like that play. I like him and Zobrist quite a bit. I mean, the difference between Murphy and Cano, I think I'd rather just take Murphy tonight instead of do Cano against Tillman, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm a big fan of Murphy. I mean, heading back to his old stomping grounds in New York there. You know he's on Washington, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just in case you forgot again. But
no, that's surprising that I didn't screw that up this time because they're literally playing the Mets now. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, still continuing to hit red hot. I mean, 399 this season is unreal. I think he's very much kind of your top option there.
Yeah, definitely agree.
If you want to look lower, I don't have a problem with Brandon Phillips. He's going up against Clevenger. And, I mean, Phillips in a decent spot. I like the run total there. You just look at that ballpark. It should be a pretty friendly to all these bats there. Anyone down low you're kind of taking a look at?
Nah, I think Phillips is a good call in that mid-3 range. There's not really much. I mean, if you're stacking Orioles, Shoop's obviously in play. Again, Cleveland, Kipnis against Finnegan. That's a pretty solid matchup. But I think kind of like first, you don't necessarily want to pay down at second tonight either.
Yeah, kind of like those top options there. And I mean, Chase Utley's a guy I don't mind leading off at 3,700 still. And Scooter Gennett, I mean, kind of a cheap guy too if you want to take a look. I mean, those are the only kind of honorable mentions down there.
Starlin against Shelby.
Yeah, I'll take Starlin. I mean, in that ballpark, homered yesterday. I definitely like that call there. Third base, and you're looking at once again the usual kind of top guys. And overall here, I'm kind of intrigued with a lot of these names. I think they're all certainly playable. Nolan Arenado at 4,500 against Wainwright. It's kind of something I'm really looking at tonight. I think one, he's a little bit cheaper. He should be a little bit underowned. I think Chris Bryant and Machado are still going to be kind of the favorable bats there. And I mean, 4,500 for a guy who's, going up against Wainwright, who's really struggled this season, certainly playable for me.
Right, and I mean, obviously park factors matter, but when a pitcher's struggling like that, sometimes things can build up in a hurry. So I definitely like that call, and I think in the same vein, Matt Carpenter is pretty interesting against Rusin as well, even though his price doesn't represent what he's done this year. I think he's a good bet to hit value, and I think that Cardinal stack is pretty intriguing.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. One guy I like is Jake Lamb, 3,900. Eovaldi's, struggled with lefties pretty much his entire career. Since 2014, 345 WOBA allowed. And then in that ballpark, Lamb hitting up in the top of the lineup, I like him a lot.
Longoria, 3,600.
Yeah, he's another one to get sticky.
Pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean, this Rays team could be kind of sneaky again tonight. I mean, they're fairly cheap as well. If you're looking down low, I still don't mind Jungho Kang, even against Tehran there. 3,200 is just pretty cheap for a guy who's hitting right in the middle of that lineup.
Definitely.
So he's probably the only cheap option I can take a look at. I mean, maybe Taylor Motter. I mean, if he's in the lineup, another cheap 2,700. If you can look at the third base shortstop option.
Yep, they're slowly bumping his price up, unfortunately.
Yeah, to 2,700. That's
hey, you know what? Still not the same deal it was the other day.
Looking at shortstop here, and this one I'm kind of hesitant on because there's a lot of top options up top. But I mean, we're gonna have to pay down somewhere. And a guy I really like is Aledmus Diaz, getting the lefty matchup at 3,600 for the Cards. I think he's in a very favorable spot.
Yeah, I like that call. It's tough to pay down when you sort of bump up to the top, but I think that might be the move tonight, especially if you pay up for two of the 10K plus arms. You're not going to be able to afford all these 5 and high 4K guys. So got to find value somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I like him. I like Brad Miller, 3,300. He's been showing some pop of late, not really hitting for a high average, but at that price, you don't necessarily need to. Zach Cozart, 3,200. So I think there are a lot of good points per dollar guys at shortstop tonight, sitting below 35K, that you can kind of feel good about.
So you mentioned you're not avoiding terrain. Is Jordy Mercer at 2,500 someone you would think about as a punt, or is that probably not a good idea?
Probably not a good idea, just because he hits bottom of the lineup. That's probably something I'm just staying away from. I mean, at least with Diaz, I mean, I know he is in the bottom lineup as well, but I mean, he's got a little bit more upside, even though he comes at a little bit higher price.
And now Nick Ahmed, batting 193, but he is from Western Mass, and I'm from Western Mass. Does that make him a play for me tonight?
Obviously, just for you alone, yes, because you find these Western Mass athletes. It's like you get the mailman comes to your door and they just mention to you, oh, hey, did you hear about Nick Ahmed last night? Yeah, great Western Mass guy. And you guys just talk for 5 minutes about every other Western Mass guy that came aboard.
He was the best pitcher and best hitter in Western Mass in high school.
Now he's hitting a $193.
Unreal.
But obviously he's in the majors, so what the hell can I say?
Hey, yeah, good for him.
Looking at outfield tonight, and I think there are some guys in that mid-range spot that I'm really intrigued with. And I really like those Yankees outfielders. I like the lefties with Ellsbury and Gardner.
Yeah.
They kind of just sit in that mid-tier range. I think they're in pretty favorable spots.
Yeah, I look at that 4K range. I really like the upside there. I think Ryan Braun has some pretty decent upside against Lackey, Beltran, Holiday. I like that group again. And then Jay Bruce against Clevenger. I think that's a really high upside group. Yeah,
definitely. I like Gregory Polanco, 4,200. He's the guy who I'm going to get exposure just because Tieran struggles with lefties. 344 WOBA, 1.42 home runs per 9. I mean, because we talked about the Pirates not having a ton of lefties, and Polanco's just kind of one that stands out, and especially with the way he's hitting this season. Great cash game guy. I love that price tag for him.
I think this Rockies-Cardinals game is entering game stack territory. You look at Carlos Gonzalez, 3,900 against Wainwright. I mean, if Wainwright continues to struggle, I think there's a lot of value with this Rockies lineup tonight.
I mean, if you can get Blackmon and Gonzalez for 7,900 combined, I mean that's huge. I mean, that's kind of a great little stack. I mean, and you got Matt Holliday in that 4K range going up against a lefty there. So
right.
I think it's kind of wise to kind of stay in that price tier tonight, because I don't like necessarily. I mean, obviously you got like Bryce Harper's in play, but I'm not a big fan of those top options up there.
Right.
Unless I'm stacking.
Obviously you like Trout and Harper every night, but compared to that, I mean, that's saving you quite a bit at this point, and they have some pretty high upside.
Yeah, I definitely like them. And I mean, going lower, I mean, Corey Dickerson, 3,400 is a guy I like. I mean, the price still isn't high enough for him. I mean, mainly because he's hitting below 200, but solely a GPP play for pretty cheap. Randall Grichuk, he's another one, 3,400. So, I mean, there's a lot of value outfielders that you can kind of get behind tonight.
Yeah. Brandon Guyer versus Dickey, I think, is intriguing.
Yeah, that's definitely a good call. I mean, big night last night. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty good call. And I mean, Trace Thompson continues to hit the ball well. I mean, gets that starting role. I mean, kind of jump on that price tag while you can.
Definitely.
So that's going to wrap things up with the DK Daily Trot. Be sure to check out DaveFantasyCafe.com for all great tools and content.